Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to continue with the C# programming, and we're going to learn how to use if statements and how to use switches. Okay, so we're going to add another project here. I'm going to call this if. Then okay, so it has to be .NET environment. Okay, so now let's see what is the question. So the question is, write a program to compare user number if it is divisible by 7. Okay, so I'm going to make a comment here, and I'm going to put my question there. Okay, so now I want to write a program that compares two numbers and see if compares a number and see if it is divisible by 7. So the first thing that we have to do, we have to prompt the user to enter a number. So I'm going to say console dot write line. So for prompting the user, I'm going to say please enter an integer. And after that, we have to take this number as we talked about it in previous video. And okay, so we have an integer here, and we know that whenever we want to get anything from the user, C# it will take it as a string. So we need to, since we want it as an integer, we have to convert it to an integer. So first I'm going to name my integer. My integer is going to be num equal to, and then here I'm going to say convert to int 32. And what do you want to convert to? Whatever the user is writing on the line. So after that, after we got the value, we want to check it for divisibility. So whatever the answer is, the remainder, we're going to save it in another integer, which is called num2, and we're gonna choose our number, and we want to see if it is divisible by 7. So what is the condition that tells us if the number is divisible by 7 or not? And that condition is it has the remainder have to be 0. That means those two numbers are divisible. So in order to get the remainder of whatever our number is and divided by 7, we can use %, and C# knows that when you put this sign, it will give you the remainder. So I'm going to put 7 here. So that means divide whatever my number is by 7 and then put it in num2. So that's my integer, and then after that I have to decide what to tell the user. I have to tell the user if it is divisible or if it is not divisible. So that means I have to use an if statement. I'm going to say if our num2, that means the remainder, is equal to 0. So if the number was 0, tell the user that the number is divisible by 7. And then Okay, so else, it means it's either this or another one, so I don't need to use else if. I'm just going to use else. Just to be neat, I'm going to put curly brackets and say console. So now I'm going to tell my user that your number is not divisible, or the number is not divisible by 7. Okay, so now let's run this and see if it works. Okay, ignore the first one. Okay, so first I'm going to put a number that is actually divisible by 7. So I'm going to go with 21, and it says the number is divisible by 7. And then if I go with a number that is not, like 18, it says the number is not divisible by 7. So that means it is working. And now let's go to our next question. Okay, what is our next question? Okay, so this one I can either do it with switch or I can do it with if statement. First I'm going to do it with the if statement, but I'm going to name it switch. First I'm going to do it with the if statement, so we will know another priority exists. Okay, so I'm going to put switch 1. Okay, so we will know if there is an else if statement and how can we handle it. Okay, so I'm going to comment here. This is my question. Okay, so again I have to prompt the user to, let's actually go to the next line. I have to prompt the user to enter a number because that's our question asked to do. Right line, please enter a number from 1 to 5. Okay, and then whatever the user answers, we need to take it and put it in an integer because 1 to 5 is an integer. And I'm going to save it in an integer called num. So since it is not string, we have to convert it. So convert dot to int 32. And what do we want to convert is whatever the user writes on the screen. So then we have to read it, read line. So that's it. So right now we're asking the user to enter a number and we're going to save it in a num, and then what we were going to do is to start our if statements. So it says if the user enters number 1, say apple. So that means if our num was equal to 1, console dot right line apple. And then next one is else if num is equal to 2. Okay, console dot right line, and what is the second fruit? It is an orange. And then I can just copy and paste else if here. So that's 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. Okay, so number 3. What is number 3? Banana, pineapple, and cherry. Okay, so I'm going to put banana, pineapple, and cherry. Okay, so that's number 3. This is number 4. And this is number 5. Now, what if our user enters another number like 6? Then what's going to happen is we're going to put it everything else except these 5 numbers. We're going to give an error. So we're going to say error. Okay, perfect. So now let's see if this one works or not. Okay, 4, pineapple, and our 4 is pineapple. You can check it from up here, it is pineapple. Okay, if I enter another number, for example 2, it's going to give me orange. Okay, so now why do we use if and then we used else, if or else? Why can't we just say if, and then at the end just have an else? Okay, so there are 2 reasons why it is better to use if and else if statement. First of all, when you write if and else if, the program will see this as a whole. It doesn't see them separately. So what it means is after it gets the number, it comes to the first statement here. It will check for the first condition. If the condition met, it will go all the way to the end after else, and it will execute the rest of the line, or if there is no rest of the line, it's just gonna stop the program. But if instead of else if we had an if, that means the program doesn't see this as a whole, so it's going to go through each condition and check for each condition. So we'll go to the first one, and it is number 1. It says, oh, okay, so this is apple, and then it's going and checking for number 2. So it doesn't care that the condition is already met. It will go and check the other ones as well. So one of the problem with that is it will bring the speed down. And so that is the first reason, the speed. And the second reason is sometimes you might get an error. For example, if I change all of these if statements, all of these else if to if, then this else is not an else to the whole if statement. It is an else to the if statement above it. So what that means is it will come and check for all of the if statements, and it says, okay, if we enter number 1, it will if we enter, for example, number 1, it will print apple, and it will check all the ifs and comes here and say, oh, the if doesn't match, so I'm going to print error else as well. So that means we're going to get apple and error together, which is not a correct answer. We're not supposed to get 2 answers with each other. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that we have else if here. If you want, we can actually check it and see what happens if I take all of the else out and I have few if statements instead of else if. Okay. Okay. So now, if I enter number 4, it's going to give me pineapple and error, which is a problem. But if, for example, I enter 5, it's going to give me cherry without error, because it checks for this statement and it says, okay, so this is what I'm going to execute, the rest of them are not right, this one is going to execute, so it's not going to go to the else. So the only one that will give us the right answer is the last one. So it's always a good idea to make sure how are you using your if and else if statement so you won't get an error. So there is another way that we can write this program with, and that's going to be switch. In some cases, switch are better. In the cases that there are so many conditions that you want to check, you can probably go with the switch because it's going to be a little bit faster. So let's see how switch works. I'm going to delete all of these, but I'm going to keep those first lines because I need those. Okay. So we have our number. What we can do is we can start with a switch, and then we have to write the condition. So our condition is num. That is what we're checking for. We're checking for the number, and then start the curly bracket. Okay, so now inside of the curly brackets, we will start with first case. Our first case is when the number is equal to 1. Or I don't think we need. Okay, case 1. Okay, so our case 1 is we want to write an apple. So console.writeLine, and we write an apple. Then after that, we have to say break. So how this break act is like the else if. So that means it will come, check for the first case. If it was right, it will execute it, and then after that it will break. It will come out and do the rest of the program, or it will stop. So then we will go for the case 2, and the rest of it is going to be the same. So I'm going to, okay, Control C, Control V. Going to copy this 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, case 1, case 2, this is case 3, this is case 4, and this is case 5. Okay, we have apple, orange, banana, pineapple, cherry. So apple, orange, oops, banana, pineapple, and cherry. Okay, so there is another, instead of else here, we can use default. So then you say default, and then you can say console dot write line. You can write error. Okay. Oh, what happened? Do I need to put a break here too? Yeah, seems I need to put a break after default too. Okay, so now let's see if our program works or not. Oops, it just came on. Okay, so please enter number from 1 to 5. I'm going to enter 4, and it will give me pineapple. And then I'm going to do another one. What if I do 6? It's going to give me error, so it means it goes to the default. So yeah, this is how you do switch and if. They are very similar. You just have to see which one is more suitable for your question or for the conditions that you have, and which one is faster or more convenient for you to use. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.